Hi guys, one of the most common questions I get asked in both my Discord and on YouTube is what is the rotation for Knight or Paladin? And quite frankly, I'm sick of answering that question hundreds of times. So I decided to just make a video, hopefully cover all of the most basic rotations for both of those vocations. And in the future, I'll just reply with a link to this video. So yeah, those of you who know how to play Knight and Paladin will not find this very useful, but if you're a beginner, you don't necessarily know how to use your potions, spells, auto attacks, etc., then, hopefully this will be for you. So we're going to start with Knight. If you're more interested in Paladin, I'm going to add some timestamps in the description, so you can just skip to Paladin if you want to, but we're going to begin with Knight. So, first of all, just a summary of what you need to do in all rotations before we actually get into each specific rotation. So on a Knight in general, especially when hunting solo, you always want to have Blood Rage active. This is the Utito Tempo spell. This increases your skills and it has a 10-second duration. So you kind of need to keep track of that outside of the rotation and just recast it every 10 seconds. You always need to use a potion, mana or health, depending on what you're currently missing, every second. This is how you maintain your mana pool and health pool. This is quite difficult to time it every second, especially not to cancel auto attacks, but that is the ideal rotation and what you should be striving towards. Moving on, you should always cast your strongest Exura spell, Exura Med Eco, from level 300 plus, every 1 second as well. Again, just use it at the same time as you use the potion. Another note, you should be using spells after the auto attacks go off. Every 2 seconds, you use your auto attack, and auto attack should be the first thing beginning, sort of marking the new 2-second rotation, because that's the thing that can be blocked by spells and by potions. So make sure to go the auto attack and then start using the rest of the stuff every 2 seconds. And finally, all rotations assume you're already standing in a box surrounded by monsters, right? It's sort of like a default perfect rotation. However, obviously you can vary this a little bit. For example, most of the perfect rotations start with Exori Gran, but if you only have 3 monsters on you for now, for example, and you have 5 more monsters coming towards you, there's no point using Exori Gran yet. You should begin with like a normal Exori or Exori Min, and then, 2 seconds later, once all the monsters have come to you, then you begin the example rotations I'm about to give you. So that's just a bit of a disclaimer. Anyway, now let's get into the rotations. So the first basic Knight rotation, these are basically available from level 90 onwards once you unlock the Exori Gran. If you're under level 90, there isn't really a set rotation that I can really quote. If you're under level 90, you just want to be using like your Exori every 4 seconds, and then just alternating like Exori Mas, Exori Hor, Her, Hur, H-U-R, God, I don't know how to pronounce that. Just your single target spells, but basically using Exori as often as possible. But the basic Knight rotation from level 90 onwards, you have a few examples. The very, very basic one, the one that's been in the game for like years and years, is number 1, and that is just Exori Gran, Exori, Exori Min. Every 6 seconds, you just repeat that. Very simple, very easy to get used to. That is the one I recommend for beginner players, just because you can't really go wrong. However, you also really want to be using Exori Mas, and this is what we have in rotation 2 and rotation 3. Exori Mas is much more efficient against bigger pulls. I believe the cutoff is around 5+ monsters. So if you're in a box with over 5 monsters, you want to be using Exori Mas for ideal damage output. So if you want to do that, then example 2 is the easy Exori Mas rotation. That's the one that I recommend starting with. So you go Exori Gran, Exori, Exori Mas. That's your like sort of 6-second rotation. Then followed by a 6-second rotation with Exori Gran, Exori, Exori Min. And you do that, that's a 12-second rotation overall, and then you just rinse, repeat, rinse, repeat. It's also easy to remember. You still use an Exori Gran and Exori in the same places, and then you just switch an Exori Mas and Exori Min. However, if you want to be using Exori Mas more frequently, due to its 8-second cooldown, you kind of need to change it up a bit. So this is my rotation 3, which is a slightly bit more complex for more advanced players. You begin again, Exori Gran, then you go Exori Min, Exori Mas, Exori, Exori Gran, Exori, and Exori Mas again. So this way, you're able to fit in 2 Exori Masses in like a 12-second rotation. However, you will not be able to do that for the third sort of 6-second rotation, and you will need to go for like a Min, Exori Min rotation. So just to maybe illustrate, you would basically be going for something like this. You would be going the third sort of 12 to 18 seconds would go like this, basically, something like that. And then you would repeat. Basically, this is slightly superior. This number 3 is slightly superior to number 2 in that you're allowed to use Exori Mas 2 out of 3 times. Whereas the second one, you only use Exori Mas once every 2 times, basically every 6-second rotation. So those are the 3 basic ones that I recommend. That's what I use, sort of on like a level 90 character. This is how I play it. you know, maybe there's a better way to use the Exori Mass even a little bit, but I wouldn't want to get into that. This is what you really need to know, and you're going to be okay. The next rotation is the Executioner's Throw wheel rotation from level 300 onwards. That's when you can unlock Executioner's Throw in the wheel, and basically it's quite easy. It's you basically use one of the basic rotations that you're already using, but you want to finish off the box by using the Executioner's Throw, and you use it when you have 3 enemies on red health, and you try to use it on basically the red health enemies. Then, you know, it will finish them off. You're able to quicker go to your next box. Pretty simple, but that's something to be aware of. And the other rotation that we have is a T2 Exori Mass Night rotation. This is available from level 500 plus if you allocate into the 2 branches of Exori Mass to unlock T2 Exori Mass. Personally, I don't know if I recommend it from level 500 plus. I think it's better from level 550 because then you can get 2 revelation perks as well. But regardless, this is technically available from level 500 plus, and it allows you to have Exori Mass on a 6-second cooldown. Which then just allows for a very, very simple rotation. Exori Gran, Exori Mass. You basically forget about Exori Min, you no longer use it. You know, in some niche cases, we have like 3 monsters at the end of the box. Of course, you can still use Exori Min, but in general, your basic rotation becomes Exori Gran, Exori Mass. Very, very simple, very, very comfortable. You really want to be using that one in, you know, sort of dense hunting grounds, something like I don't know, like Summit Court. You always have like 8, 9, 10 monsters around you. That's Exori Mass is very good there. Places like that, you know, where you can guarantee basically hitting 8+ monsters with Exori Mass. Anyway, moving on. I just, at the end, to finalize the night rotations, I wanted to just break down, you know, very detailed sort of example 12-second basic rotation with what you need to be doing in every single second. Okay, so there's quite a lot, as you can see. You know, I don't really want to go break it down for each second, but you can see that every sort of 2 seconds you just go Potion Exura. Every 2 seconds you have the auto attack plus some sort of spell. You've also got Utito Tempo on 0 seconds and 10 seconds. You know, this is basically what you need to be doing every single second for like a perfect rotation. So if you're not sure how the night rotation works, you can just pause this and, you know, watch this here. Here, I use this basic, this is an example of this second rotation. It's easy for bigger pulls. Exori Gran, Exori Mass, followed by Exori Gran, Exori Min, and rinse repeat. This is a very common rotation. I use this one a lot, probably my most common rotation. And this is what it basically looks like when executed perfectly. So yeah, I hope this is helpful. And we're now going to move on to the Paladin rotation, because I'll cover it in the same way. First of all, we're going to discuss the basics and what you want to be using for all rotations. So first of all, whenever you're comfortable with a spawn and you want to get that extra bit of boost, you should consider using Sharpshooter. This is Utito Tempo San. Whenever you're already in a box. However, this is for advanced players only, as it limits your healing and it limits your speed. It's a tricky one. If you're not super comfortable with Paladin, you should probably not really worry about that. It's only for like level 500 plus for like some endgame spawns, but I thought I would mention it anyway. Moving on, you should always be using a potion whenever you cast a spell. However, you should not use it in the same second whenever you use runes. Potions and runes share cooldowns, so whenever you're using a rune like Avalanche or Thunderstorm, in that 1 second window, do not be using a potion. Otherwise, you will block some cooldowns, miss some auto attacks, and that's very, very expensive on a Paladin. Moving on, you should always be casting the strongest Exura spell, usually Exura Grand Sand for most Paladins, every second, as long as you're not full health, obviously. This is to keep your health up to speed. And finally, you should be using spells runes after the auto attacks go off. The auto attack is like the first thing that marks the start of like your 2-second loop. You want to make sure you never miss your auto attacks. They are very, very powerful, and Paladin is very, very important. So always go auto attack and then you do your spells and potions, etc. afterwards. So first of all, we'll begin with this most basic 4-second Paladin rotation, which is available from level 50 onwards. And this is auto attack. This is, sorry, let me remove that because we don't actually need that. I've moved that to a little bit further, so ignore that little section there. But anyway, basic 4-second Paladin rotation, level 50 onwards, is auto attack plus Exevo Massa, followed by auto attack and rune 2 seconds later. Super, super simple. This is what you need to be doing. This is a 4-second rotation, so like at the start you do Exevo Massa with auto attack, and then 2 seconds later you do rune plus auto attack. Very, very simple. Super, 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 super strong. Then at level 300, we unlock the grenade in the wheel, which is very, very good as well. Very powerful. It's like another Exevo Massa basically, so we definitely want to be using that. And the way this changes your rotation is you basically open up the rotation by using grenade. and then just follow up with the rest of the rotation. So you get your box and you go auto attack plus grenade, and then you basically just repeat your 4-second rotation over and over from point number 1. Moving on, the next rotation that we have available is the Grenade plus Divine Empowerment rotation, and this is available from level 550 onwards. This is when we go 250 points in the Grenade wheel, 250 points in the Divine Empowerment wheel, and then this one changes slightly. So you, again, similarly with the Grenade, you open up with the Grenade, you go auto attack Grenade. After that, 2 seconds later, you go auto attack Divine Empowerment under yourself to increase your damage. And then you continue with your basic 4-second Paladin rotation, i.e. Massan, Rune. Super basic. Personally, I think those rotations are a lot easier than the Knight rotations. However, there's still a little bit of, thinking. The main difference in the Paladin to Knight rotation is that you're using a Rune as a Paladin, and the Rune does block the potion cooldown, which means you can't just be mindlessly spamming your potion. You need to sort of keep at the back of your head to not use the potion during the turn for using the Rune, otherwise you will block your cooldowns. And anyway, moving on, I will just similarly to the EK, here we have a little table illustrating, example 10-second grenade rotation. Again, I'm not going to go into every single second in detail, but you can just pause and read here what you should be doing. The key things to watch out for is that whenever you use the Rune, like here and here, you're not using a potion in that sort of 1 second window because you're going to block that cooldown. And yeah, you open up with the grenade, then you go X7 Massan, then you use Rune, then you use X7 Massan, then you use Rune, and you keep using potions and Exuras in between using your spells and auto attacks. And yeah, that's basically what you have for Paladins. I think Paladins is generally pretty simple. I think Knights are a little bit more complicated, but overall, there's not that much science behind all these rotations. So yeah, I hope this is useful for those of you who are just beginning with Knights and Paladins. Let me know in the comments if anything is not clear. I'll be happy to answer. And yeah, hopefully I can now use this video as a reference for people who ask about rotations. Anyway, thank you very much for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one. Bye-bye.